Hello, investors. This is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, June 20th, 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in an uptrend since those subsequent follow-through days. If you take a look at the trend gauge over here, market leader still in grow mode with that green arrow. I will say on balance, it's been mixed. But again, the leaders are leading and the best stocks continue to stay in uptrends, riding the shorter term moving averages higher. Short term, we're above the 21 EMA, came a little bit close to it today, but again, 40 days in a row above the 21 EMA, and that power trend continues to stay alive. Medium term above the 50-day moving average and long term above the 200-day moving average. Still looking for that complete positive moving average alignment with the 8, 21, 50, and 200-day in alignment sloping up. What happened today? Kind of a trend down day after an up open, and this was on the heels of some tech weakness, specifically in the semiconductor space. Here are the final numbers. 21 over 21 list up 0.44%, 8 green, 1 neutral, 12 red. Turbo 12 up 1.58%, 7 green, 5 red. Big 8 up 0.72%, RG8, or sorry, Big 8 down 0.72%, RG8 up 0.22%, 60/40 stock and bond down 0.26%, flagship portfolio GROTECTION down 0.25%, and TurboTection up 0.67% on the day. Let's take a look at the inter-asset correlation. And as always, we will start with the chart of the S&P 500. And again, continue to stalling out a little bit. Some distribution days are building up. And, some of this red volume down here is something we're keeping an eye on. Close back below the 8 EMA as well, and just kind of meandering around this 6,000 level. But looking at it this way, big move up off the lows. Have mentioned this a lot. For 4835 to 6,000 is a huge move for the S&P 500. Sometimes the S&P doesn't do that in a year, let alone this did that in 2 months. So again, we're always aware of the move that's happened. And then again, but we're just kind of handling out. After a big move, you kind of need market needs to catch its breath a little bit, consolidate, and that's what the indexes are doing right now. But want to see this 21-day hold starting to roll over just slightly. But again, as long as price is above, we are in a power trend. So you just want to lean bullish and want to see this 50-day get back up through the 200-day for that full positive alignment. But after this move up, handling below 6,000, nothing wrong with that. Even a pullback, undercut and reclaim of the 21 would be fine. So chart still looks good. Friday, let's take a look at the weekly close. Just pretty tight 2 weeks. Essentially, the market has done, the index wise, they've done nothing for a month, and you can see that in the price action. Give or take, the indexes are up or down less than 1% for the month. Definitely been a little bit choppy, a little bit sideways, but there's a lot of bright spots in individual stocks as well. RSP equal weight again looks fine, just consolidating in this flag here above the 221 day. Qs outside reversal today, but again, after this big move up, not surprising to see the NASDAQ pause near this previous left side highs, and it's got this big cup. So let's see if we can form the handle here on the right side. 50 days looking to get back above the 200-day as well. And as long as that 21-day holds, and again, just some of these support zone areas here, as long as these are supported on the pullback, the trend is totally fine. Mag 7 continues to build higher lows, trending up. Dow Jones just consolidating in a tight range below the 200-day. Mid caps looking pretty good. Clear down trend line going into next week. This looks good. Russell 2000, after that harsh rejection off the 200-day, continue to hold above the 21. ARC, super strong. Maybe this is the summer, the year of Kathy Wood. You look at ARC, she's got some awesome names. Circle, it's a new IPO, has gone insane move. I'll just pull it up actually. She bought this pretty cheap, and this is, what a move. IPO'd at 31 bucks, close to 240. So she's got some good names, Coinbase, Monster. So this ETF looks really good. Definitely risk on coming into this left side high. But again, ARC's been dormant for years now. And we've talked about this. This is a big stage on base. Looks like it's confirming. See if it gets back above this level. So it, you know, can't be too bearish when an ETF like ARK's working, especially she likes the risk on tech names. FFTY flagging here, good representation of leaders. VIX close back above 20, but again, as long as it's above 22, 25, that's good. And then, this pop gives it room to roll over if it wants to, down to that 15 to 18 area. But again, nothing concerning there. Dollar trying to hold lows here. Talk about I've talked about positioning on the dollar before, and this is very, very, very crowded short. So that could potentially that could potentially signal that maybe the dollar gets a little bit of a rebound here, and maybe precious metals like gold cools down. But again, gold looks pretty solid just in this base up here. See which way it breaks out or comes back into the 50-day. Gold stocks coming back into the 21, but again, just been a super strong sector for the past year, 2 years. Silver coming back into the 21 after this breakout. We don't really trade silver a whole lot. PAAS is a name in there if you're bullish silver. It's got a decent little flag here. Bitcoin losing the 20 or losing the 21 again today, kind of a failed breakout for now. But again, the 50 days catching up, see if it finds support there. This is just in a big base as well. Nothing concerning on this chart, just consolidating, not in that super hyper relative strength phase right now. It was when it went from 43 bucks to 63, and now it's starting to flag handle out. Bonds trying to get back above the 200 day. TLT, just sitting here, not much to say about this chart. Rates just sitting at the 50-day and here as well. All right, that's the inter-asset correlation. Let's get into the tail of the tape. All right, let's see. Let's see. Where do we want to start? Percent of stocks above the 5-day moving average. That's coming down. That's good. When this gets down into the low, 10, 15 area, that could signal a bounce in the market. And then this week we got the new NAM exposure index numbers. And this is something we're starting to watch a little bit more closely now. 94. So that's a pretty high reading from our studies. When this gets over, high 90s to over 100, the market, there's a very strong chance that the market might pull back a little bit. It doesn't track it immediately, but in the coming days, weeks, you could see a little shake of the tree as when everyone's long, who's left to buy. So we're monitoring that closely right now. But again, 94, not overly exuberant, but getting up there. Still on the bull case, news-wise, Trump is deciding on Iran over the next 2 weeks, and then Trump, revoke waivers on U.S. chip companies in China. So that was some of the weakness. ALAB, see what it finished, but that was one that was looking good in the morning and then pulled back semi-harshly. Today's keys, S&P versus 21, closed above. Q's closed above the 21. Russell closed above the 21, but below the 200-day. And going into Monday, we are going to be watching the same things. Day 7, day count, day 7 of this consolidation. 2 days below the 8 EMA, 40 days above the 21 EMA. And like I mentioned earlier, that power trend is still alive. And the action-wise, we opened up green and then it was just kind of a trend day down for most of the day. Although some leaders were holding up quite well, trading strong. Let's see. Sectors wise, energy, staples, utilities, builders, oil on the day, and the weakness, XLB, tech, healthcare, silver, gold, uranium, and Bitcoin. GROTECTION today trimmed SSO on the close below the 8 EMA, 1.37 beta, 3.47% open heat. TurboTection, just an offensive trim in LEU, so 2.24 beta, minus 4.63% open heat. Bottom line, trend day down after up open on tech weakness. Let's get into the charts. Alrighty, GROTECTION just trimmed some SSO, closing back below the 8 EMA, still hold a nice core position in the S&P 500 from lower. And then TurboTection, we did an offensive trim on LEU today as this approached 50% gains. Pretty amazing move for this one. And this is one of the leaders in the nuclear energy space, and it's fundamental wise and on a price relative strength basis, this thing has just started to go vertical. It is now it's 83% above the 50-day. So we locked in another trim on this one, roughly 50% gains. But again, this one's super strong, and we look to trail the rest of the position, and even on pullbacks look to add to it. But this has got, how many, 10 plus weeks up in a row out of this big base, started to accelerate. You could say kind of, breach the upper trend line from this move starting back here. But again, you can't complain when you buy stock and it just starts to go straight up. So took an offensive trim on this one. Good action. And then, SMR, which TurboTection also owns, this one hasn't acted as well. We bought the breakout up here, looked like it was coming back, like it was going quite nicely. Now it's starting to come back into the pivot. We're going to watch how this one acts next week. So kind of showing you this because, we talked about this before. Not every stock in the group works. And that's why sometimes a shotgun approach can work better. That's when you want to water the flowers and cut the weeds. So that was just an example on SMR. Yeah, LEUs just traded much more linear as well. Alrighty, let's take a look at the interasset core, or sorry, the 21 over 21 list. CoreWeave, fantastic close on this one. Talked about the high tight flag setup, broke out, retested another fantastic day up 8%. And this one just continues to move higher. This is owned both in GROTECTION and TurboTection, so really good action there. I mean, what an amazing chart. Definitely a model book IPO, base breakout, and continuation. HIMS, this one's looking good as well. Owned in both portfolios as well. We added to this one this week in TurboTection. This one's breaking the downtrend line, and what blows my mind on this name is it still has 30% short interest, which is quite high for a stock that has good fundamentals. It's very strong right at the highs, so that can add some more fuel on the upswing. But this one closed at the highs today, finally getting back above this 60 spot. Essentially, this stock has been going basically sideways for a month after hitting these highs at 65, multiple supports at the 21 day, and now breaking this trend line. So this one looks really good going into next week. VST, another one in the utility, just beautiful trend up the right side. This one looks like it wants to test these all-time highs at 200. EQT, natural gas play that's been benefiting with the war, continuing its breakout out of this really nice base. Light continuing higher, looks good. Axon getting tight here under the 800 level. Robinhood, another leader owned in both portfolios, just monster stock. And this one, just, such an like they're innovating so much. They have the Robinhood Gold Card and this a lot of very exciting things with Robinhood. And this one looks like, it wants to be a leader in the finance space. And certainly from a price standpoint, it is. Still hasn't got above these IPO highs, but looks like potentially soon. But really good action, just riding the 8 EMA higher. PWR, another, in the construction for data center rollout, consolidating under these highs. DoorDash, just consolidating at the highs. CRDO, good action here, just inside day after that strong move up on Wednesday. Spotify, consolidating at the highs. Vive, post earnings continuation flag here, found support at 21. Bitcoin, covered that. GEV, another one in the alternative energy space, holding up good, just basing at the highs under that 500 psychological level. Nebis, this one's looking really good for next week, owned in TurboTection, and this one's got a super clear downtrend line. And then you can look, Don talks about the 60-minute stochastic. You have a super clean downtrend line here, coming back up from oversold. And this one had a super strong move. The catalyst on this day that brought the volume was an $82 price target from a pretty reputable firm. So, the market definitely like that, continued higher, just normal pullback under this 50.87 previous left side highs. It's got a really nice chart, cup and handle base look here. Zscaler consolidating at the highs. Tempest, tight inside day at the 21, potentially setting a trendline breakout. Net continuing outside reversal day, but again, looks fine. NVIDIA consolidating under all-time highs. GDX, and then Palantir, again, looks really good. Take a look at Turbo 12 from best performers to worst. Let's see. Lemonade, super strong bounce off the 21 day. This is breaking out of a really big base. And this one went on a monster run in 2024. This was on their earnings gap and then continued higher. So that when this stock moves, it certainly can move. So maybe this starts to go on a run like this, but chart looks good. Dave, undercut and reclaim at the 21. LEU covered that one. Oddity, undercut and reclaim at the 21 as well. Got a downtrend line here. Sezzle, finds support at the 8, just under this 150 spot. KTOS continuing higher. Aerospace and defense stocks have been acting exceptionally well. MP again in their rare earth minerals sector. What a move. Huge volume coming in as well. Take a look at the weekly. I believe this used to be a SPAC as well. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but again, it's got a big weekly base that it's breaking out of, a huge volume. Definitely on watch for pullbacks. TMDX lost the 21 this week. It's getting some distribution there. HSAI lost 21 as well, sitting at the 50-day. Qubit just consolidating after this big move up. GH coming out of this handle. And then SMR pulling back, but again, still above the 21 in this 32.30 previous left side high. So that looks good as well. That is the interasset, or those are the Turbo 12 and the 21 over 21 list, and we'll just kind of end on the chart, the S&P 500. And again, as long as this 21-day holds, we are in a power trend, and the trend is up until it bends. So that's the way we're leading and leading on the feedback from leaders and what they're telling us. And, from the 21 over 21 list, plenty of leaders close at the high. So we're not seeing distribution in too many names, and a lot of them continue to work. So that's our tone on the market right now. So that is going to wrap it. As always, love to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. You can reach out to me on Twitter at ConnorJBates_. Phone is 855 Real Wealth, 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. Thank you guys for watching and hope you guys have an awesome weekend.